My dad raised his glass at Christmas dinner, looked me dead in the eye and said, "To my successful daughter Emma, and to my son who still hasn't done a damn thing with his life." Then he laughed and added, "At least we know who's going to take care of us." God knows he won't. Everyone laughed. I sat there, at the table I paid for, in the house I secretly owned, listening to my parents call me worthless while eating food my money had bought. And they had no idea. I'm 32. Only son. I have one younger sister, Emma, who's 29. To my parents, Emma walks on water. Great grades. Fancy job title in tech. Engaged to a guy who wears expensive watches and says things like, networking opportunity without irony. My parents talk about her like she single-handedly carries the family name on her back. Me. I was the kid who never applied himself. The one who liked computers, stayed in his room and didn't follow the be a doctor or lawyer script. I didn't finish my degree. I worked random jobs. I moved back home twice. I gave them a lot of ammunition early on, I'm not going to lie. But here's what they don't know and what nobody at that dinner knew. 5 years ago I learned how to invest. Properly. I got obsessed. I worked a crappy help desk job by day and at night I read everything I could about index funds, options, startups, real estate, all of it. I started small. A little here, a little there. I made mistakes. Then I got better. I have proof of every gain and every loss in spreadsheets only I have seen. 3 years ago I got insanely lucky and also a little smart. I put money into a tiny software startup a friend was building. Remote work scheduling tool. He needed a seed investor when no one else would believe in him. I didn't have much but I put in what I could and negotiated for a quiet equity stake. Last year his startup got acquired. My tiny piece turned into a big check. Big enough to pay off the remaining mortgage on my parents' house. Big enough to buy a small rental property. Big enough that, for the first time, I wasn't panicking at the end of every month. My parents don't know any of this because I never told them. All they see is that I don't post LinkedIn updates and I don't wear a suit. The first time my parents called me worthless to my face, I was 20 and had dropped out of college after a depressive episode one didn't have words for yet. "You're throwing your life away," my mom cried in the kitchen. "You're going to end up living in our basement forever." My dad's face went blank in that way that always scared me more than yelling. "You're not a kid anymore," he said. "Stop being a burden." I remember those words exactly. I replayed them for years. Burden. Worthless. Waste. They never missed a chance to remind me of how much I'd failed. If Emma got a promotion it was, "See? That's what hard work looks like." If she bought a new car it was, "Maybe someday you'll get your act together like your sister." If I came over in a hoodie and jeans my dad would look me up and down and say, "You going to an interview dressed like that? Oh wait, do you even have interviews?" They said these things in front of family, friends, neighbors. Every time I swallowed it. Every time I told myself, just wait. Just fix your life first. Then you can walk away. That was the agreement I made with myself. No confrontation until I had leverage. I didn't realize I'd have this much leverage. The house my parents live in now, the one they're so proud of, was almost gone 2 years ago. They never told Emma about it but my mom called me sobbing one night. I still remember sitting on the edge of my bed, phone pressed so hard to my ear it hurt. "The bank sent a letter," she said. "We're behind. Your father, he didn't tell me it was this bad. We might lose the house." I drove over that night. My dad was at the dining table with a stack of papers. I saw the red stamps on some of them. Final notice. Second warning. Overdue. "How far behind are you?" I asked. He didn't look at me. "We'll figure it out." "How far behind?" I repeated. He snapped. "Why do you care? It's not like you can help." He was wrong. The acquisition money from the startup had just hit my account. I hadn't told anyone. My heart was still catching up to the number of zeros. I hadn't even processed it properly. I looked at the overdue amount. I knew I could fix it. And here's my mistake. I did. I called the bank the next day. I asked what it would take to not only clear the missed payments but pay the mortgage off completely. They connected me to a specialist. We went through options. I ended up setting up an LLC that would technically own the house and lease it back to my parents under extremely favorable terms. No rent increase. Terms that basically meant, live here until you die, just stop ignoring the bank. I did it because I wanted them safe. Because I wanted them to have somewhere to live without constantly worrying. Because, despite everything, they're still my parents. I signed the documents. I wired the money. They got a letter saying an investor had acquired their loan and given them a payment holiday while the paperwork was restructured. They didn't know the investor was me. It was easier to be anonymous than to listen to my dad say, "You only got lucky," or my mom say, "We always knew you'd get it together someday," while still treating me like the family loser. I told myself I'd reveal it one day. I didn't know that day would come at a Christmas party. This past Christmas was the first one my parents hosted in a while where things looked perfect from the outside. New furniture. Fresh paint. Catering not potluck. Lights everywhere. I knew exactly how much it cost. I saw the charges go through on my end, because part of their payment holiday agreement involved the LLC covering some home improvement costs to protect its asset. They thought their fortunes had turned around because my dad got a better paying contract and Emma sent some money. They never asked if I was contributing. Why would they? I'm the worthless one. The guest list was full of people who'd known us since we were kids. Old neighbors, church people, Emma's fiancé's family, a couple of my dad's business contacts. The same people who heard all my failures over the years. I walked in with a bottle of wine and a sweater that didn't look expensive but cost more than my entire wardrobe did 5 years ago. My mom gave me a quick hug. "You're late," she whispered. "I got held up," I said. "Traffic." My dad clapped me on the back. "Still driving that old piece of junk?" he asked. "Nah," I said. "Upgraded a while ago." He snorted. "Must be nice to have no responsibilities." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted metal. Emma and her fiancé Jake showed up an hour later. My parents lit up like someone flipped a switch. "There's my successful girl," my dad boomed. She handed my mom a gift basket and hugged everyone. She looked over at me and shrugged one shoulder in that soft, apologetic way she does sometimes. I don't hate Emma. She didn't ask to be the golden child. But she never stopped it either. Dinner was nice until the wine started kicking in. My dad loves to make toasts. They always start sentimental and end with a dig. It's like he doesn't know how to hold attention without punching someone on his way back down. This time he stood up, fork against his glass, and waited until everyone was looking at him. "I just want to say how proud I am," he began. "This year's been rough but God is good. We're still in our home. We're surrounded by family. Emma got that big promotion. She's always working so hard. And Jake, welcome to the family, son." Everyone clapped. He raised his glass toward Emma. "To the child who made something of herself." Then his eyes slid over to me. "And to our son," he said. "Who, well, we love him no matter what." There were a few awkward laughs. He wasn't done. "Maybe one day," he continued, "he'll surprise us all and figure out what he wants to be when he grows up. Until then, at least we know Emma won't let us end up in a nursing home." My whole body went cold. My mom laughed and swatted his arm. "Stop," she said. "He's trying. Sort of." "I'm just joking," my dad added, looking around. "He knows I'm joking. Right, bud?" He didn't look sorry. There was that same blankness in his eyes I'd seen when he called me a burden. I felt every eye at the table on me. I forced a smile. "Yeah," I said. "Hilarious." But something inside me broke. Not in a dramatic, screaming way. In a quiet, precise way like a cord snapping. I looked around that room and realized almost everything in it existed because of decisions I'd made with money they didn't even think I had. The roof over their heads. The food. The renovations. The comfort. They had built this entire performance of, "we're doing fine," on top of a foundation I laid. And they still thought I was worthless. That was the moment I decided I would never let them use my life to humiliate me again. I didn't explode that night. I didn't stand up and shout, "I own this house," or throw paperwork in my dad's face. I cleared plates. I helped my mom in the kitchen. I made small talk with people asking, "So, what are you up to these days?" in that careful way people use when your parents have talked about you. "I do some consulting," I said, which was true. "I work with small companies." It was easier than explaining equity in silent partnerships and rental properties. Easier than saying, "I made more money in the last 3 years than my dad has in the last 10. When I left that night, my mom hugged me at the door. "Don't be a stranger," she said. "Yeah," my dad added. "Try not to waste another year, huh?" I got in my car, closed the door, and just sat there. I stared at the house. The house my name was on, just not where they could see it. The thought that hit me was simple and brutal. They think they own me. They don't even own the house they're standing in without me. I went home and pulled out the folder I'd kept for 2 years. Copies of the LLC documents, the mortgage payoff statement, the lease agreement they'd signed without reading properly, trusting the new lender. They signed it because they didn't want to admit to Emma how bad things had gotten. They were too proud to ask her for help. They were too ashamed to let the church find out they were in debt. I was the only one who saw the whole mess. And I was the one who fixed it. I spread the papers on my kitchen table. Then I opened my laptop and scheduled a meeting with my lawyer. I was done being their invisible safety net. My lawyer, same one who helped me set up the LLC, listened while I vented. "They keep calling me useless," I said. "They humiliate me in front of people. They act like I'm a child they have to drag through life, when I'm literally the reason they still have a life like this." He nodded. "You're not obligated to keep funding people who disrespect you," he said. "What do you want to do?" That's when I realized I hadn't let myself answer that question honestly yet. "I don't want to make them homeless," I said. "I'm not trying to destroy them. I want out. I want them to know the truth. I want to stop pretending I'm this dependent loser when I'm not." He tapped the table. "We can restructure the lease. We can give them the option to buy the house back over time at a discount. Or we can sell it to them with a new mortgage if they qualify. Or," he added, You can sell the LLC and walk away entirely. But if you want them to know the truth, you're going to have to show them the documents. My stomach twisted. They're going to lose it. They already are, he said calmly. You're just not in the room for it. He helped me draft a letter from the LLC to my parents. Simple, formal language. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Last name. This letter is to inform you that the current owner of your mortgage and property, LLC name, is offering you the opportunity to purchase the property back, under revised terms. Please schedule a meeting within 30 days to discuss options. The beneficial owner will be present. We mailed it. My parents called me 2 days after they got it. Did you get one of these letters? My mom asked, panicked. From that company. What is it? LLC name? They want to discuss terms. What does that mean? It means your investor wants to talk, I said. I'll go with you. We can meet at the lawyer's office. My dad grabbed the phone. I knew this would happen, he snapped. These companies don't care. They'll throw us out on the street. This is what I get for not going with a real bank. You can relax, I said. Just come to the meeting. He grumbled, but he agreed. They still had no idea who they were walking in to meet. The day of the meeting, my parents showed up dressed like they were going to court. My mom clutched her purse like someone was going to snatch it. My dad was already red in the face. We sat in the conference room, the three of us on one side, my lawyer on the other. Is the investor coming? My dad asked, looking around. We don't have all day. My lawyer folded his hands. He's here, he said. He's sitting next to you. My mom frowned. What? My lawyer nodded at me. Your son is the beneficial owner of LLC name. He paid off your mortgage 2 years ago and structured the lease so you could stay in your home. Everything went very quiet. My mom turned to me slowly. What is he talking about? She whispered. I slid the folder across the table. The payoff statement. The LLC documents. The lease with their signatures already on it. I'm the investor, I said. I've been paying for the house, the renovation, the property taxes. I kept the bank from taking it. You've been living here because I made it possible. My dad's face drained of color, then flooded with it again. This is some kind of joke, he said. It's not, my lawyer said calmly. Here's the wire transfer from your son's account to the bank. Here's the deed transfer. Everything is legal and documented. My mom's hand shook as she looked at the papers. Why didn't you tell us? She asked, voice cracking. I stared at her for a long moment. Because the last time I came home to try and talk about my life, I said quietly, Dad told me I was a burden. Because every time I tried to say I was doing better, you changed the subject to Emma. Because you never believed I could do anything with my life, and I didn't have the energy to argue. You lied to us, my dad exploded. You've been playing some game. I saved your house, I cut in. My voice was sharper than I'd expected. I kept your business contacts from finding out you were about to lose everything. I let you keep your pride. And you used that security to stand up at Christmas and call me worthless. My mom put a hand over her mouth. My dad opened and closed his fist on the table. You think money gives you the right to talk to me like that? He said. I raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head. And I returned the favor, I said. With interest. I took a breath. I'm not here to throw you out, I continued. I'm here to set boundaries. I'm done being your secret backup plan while you publicly humiliate me. So here are the options. My lawyer slid a new set of documents to them. You can buy the house back at a heavily discounted price, he said. Your son is willing to sign it over if you commit to a payment plan you can actually afford. Or you can keep the current arrangement but understand that he has the right to sell the LLC in the future. Either way, the days of him silently carrying this without acknowledgement are over. My dad stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Where did you get that kind of money? He demanded. I shrugged. I invested. I worked. I got lucky. All the stuff you think I've never done. My mom whispered, why didn't you tell us when you paid it off? Because if I told you then, I said, you would have twisted it into another way to control me. See, you can do well when you do what we say. Or you would have bragged to people about how you set me straight. I wanted one thing in my life that wasn't filtered through your disappointment first. They both went quiet. For the first time in my life they had no script. No lecture. No joke. Just reality. The fallout has been complicated. My dad didn't talk to me for weeks after that meeting. He stormed out of the lawyer's office, muttering about ingratitude and manipulation. My mom cried and apologized and asked 100 times why I hadn't come to them sooner, like that wasn't the point. Emma found out because my mom eventually broke and called her, sobbing. Emma called me the same night. Is it true? She asked. About the house? Yes, I said. Why didn't you tell me? Her voice sounded hurt, not angry. You were busy being the one they were proud of, I said. I didn't want to drag you into the middle of it. That's bullshit, she said quietly. I would have listened. I didn't know what to say to that. Then she said something that threw me off balance. They've been talking about you like you're a failure for so long they don't know how to stop, she said. Doesn't mean it was ever true. It's funny how one sentence can feel like a lifeline and a knife at the same time. Since that Christmas I've pulled back. I stopped covering extra expenses without telling them. If they ask for money I say, I'll think about it, and then decide based on what I want to do, not what guilt demands. I told them calmly that if they ever call me worthless again, I will sell my share of the house and they can deal with a bank that doesn't love them. I started therapy. I told a stranger all the things I'd never said out loud about growing up as the family disappointment. About the nights I stayed up wondering if I really was a burden. About how good it felt to finally have something that was mine. My therapist said something that stuck. You didn't just invest money, she said. You invested years of silence to survive. You're allowed to cash that out too. I've started talking about my work more openly, with friends, with Emma, with people who actually want to understand. I help a couple of younger guys in my neighborhood learn basic investing. I show them what I wish someone had shown me at 20. Last week my dad called me. I talked to the bank, he said. His voice was stiff. We're going to take the buyback option. Get the house in our name again. Properly. That's good, I said. I'm glad. He was quiet for a long moment. I shouldn't have said what I said at Christmas, he muttered. About you being worthless. It was a joke. No, it wasn't, I said. You meant it. You've meant it for years. He didn't argue. Another long silence. I didn't know you'd done all that, he said finally. For the house. I know, I said. That's the problem. He cleared his throat. Well, we'll handle it from here. For your sake, I said, I hope you do. We hung up. It wasn't an apology, not really. But it was the closest I've ever heard from him to an admission that he might have been wrong about me. I'm not waiting around for him to catch up. This Christmas I'm not going to their house. I'm spending it in my own apartment with some friends who feel more like family than people I share DNA with. I'm cooking. I'm opening a bottle of good whiskey I bought without asking anyone if it was a waste. I might even tell them the whole story if it feels right. My parents can host their party in a house they finally know the true cost of. They can sit at their table and talk about their successful daughter and their difficult son, if they want. They can rewrite history in their heads. I know the truth. I know I'm not worthless. I know I saved them when they didn't deserve it. And I know I was the secret investor in a life where I was treated like a bad bet. I've pulled my investment. Now I'm finally putting everything I have, money, time, energy, into the one thing I should have backed from the beginning.